Without further ado, welcome KT. God's degree.
All right, well, appreciate that. Well, appreciate that. I appreciate it. How y'all doing today? That's warm. Okay. Well, I know the morning, beginning of the day, y'all just getting started. Everybody's still stretching, getting up and getting used to the day and everything. So I'm gonna do my best to get y'all brains pumping. Y'all wanna get y'all brains pumping and y'all blood moving up in here? Yes. Y'all wanna learn something new? Yes. That's kind of egotistical, me thinking y'all don't know this already, but I'm just gonna assume. All right, so like the brother just mentioned, I was born in the Virgin Islands in St. Croix, which is U.S. territory still, so you'll need a passport to get there. But, it's the Caribbean. So I was born, tropical island, paradise, that whole thing, and I had a different upbringing than most. So I came up under Dr. Sebi, who's the herbalist that he mentioned. So between him and my mother, they really instilled a lot of values in me in regards to being natural, eating the right way, things of that nature. Now, Dr. Sebi transcended a few years ago in 2016, and pretty much what I'd say about that is, that's kind of an end of an era. Because when he was alive and he was speaking his gospel and his truth, it was dynamic and it was ahead of its time. So a lot of the information that you hear now in regards to health and the body being electrical and the different things that we need to eat, he was speaking on these things back in the 80s and the 90s when there wasn't any scientific evidence to back his information up yet. So now that he's gone, we're in a different era in regards to health, and a lot of the information that he put forth, it still applies, but it's actually more that needs to be talked about now because we're in a different world altogether. Appreciate you. All right, so I'm gonna start with this. When I was born, there was no internet. Is there anybody here 25 and older? Yeah, just a couple people, exactly. So all of y'all were born when the internet was already here. And it's deep because it's like, I didn't think nothing about it when I was a kid, that I was born at that time, but I think I was in 5th grade, I was in class, and the teacher was standing up and they was like, yeah, next year there's gonna be the World Wide Web. And we was like, so? Like, I don't know, what is that, So they were trying to, imagine somebody trying to explain the internet to you when it doesn't exist. They was like, yeah, you'll be able to talk to somebody all the way in China in real time. Y'all just be able to talk back and forth. Because when I was young, you know what we had? Pen pals. Anybody know what a pen pal is? Exactly. That's crazy. Yeah, when you were in school, you would get matched up with some other kid in some other country. They could be in China, they could be in India or Australia, but you would write to them, put it in the mail, take forever to get there, they'll get the letter, they'll write to you, and you had a pen pal. So it was like, yeah, you know how y'all got y'all pen pals? You'll be able to write them immediately. You send them a note, they'll get it right then and send it back. I know I'm saying this to you like y'all don't know what the internet is, but I'm just trying to get y'all to understand it did not exist. There was no internet, there was no cell phone, there was no Instagram, there was no YouTube, there was no Snapchat, there was no Twitter, none of that. So it's like, how did y'all get any information around, right? It was word of mouth, it was the telephone, which was at home. If somebody called you and you was not there, they would not get in touch with you until later that day. There was no, oh man, I gotta get in touch with so-and-so. It was a totally different world, all right? Now internet's everywhere. Internet is saturated all over the world to such a degree that we done went through 5 generations of evolution of the internet. Y'all know that's what the G stands for, right? You got 3G, 4G, did y'all know that? Hands? Anybody knew what the G stand? Exactly. I knew it. It's generations. Just like you got a mother and a father and they have a kid and they grow up and they have kids, those are generations. Well, internet is in generations too. And I think in 96, 97, that was like 0G. 1G hit like right at the turn of the millennium, and then it went 2G, 3G, where we in 4G now, and 5G's on the way. All right? Now, why am I bringing this internet thing up? Because he's talking about, hey, he's gonna have some health information for y'all. Well, I wanna let y'all know that with all the research and the studying that I've done in my life thus far, I've come to the conclusion that food comes later. Food don't even matter if sunlight and light isn't taken into consideration, because that's actually your number one food, is the sun. Y'all like, okay, whatever. So, let me see my laser. Okay, cool. So right here, what we have is color temperature. All right, and if you notice right here, you got 1,000 K, okay? We talking about Kelvin, all right? How many of y'all knew that color has a temperature itself, all right? Now right here, we got 1,000, we go 1,500 to all the way up to 8,000. Now you see candlelight is all the way down here, all right? Then when you get to an incandescent bulb, it's more powerful than the candle, of course. Now, what I want y'all to direct your attention to right here is direct sunlight. It says 5,500 K. An iPad Air is 6,900 K. An iPhone is 700 K. So tablets and phones, the intensity of the light from the screen is as powerful as the sun at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now it's like, okay, cool, what's the big deal? What does that have to do with me, right? All right, well, what it has to do with is the fact that light is how your body actually metabolizes. It's how your body actually works. We think our body works because we eat a bunch of food, we break the food down, and the food gives us energy. But the things that make energy in the body don't know what fat is, don't know what protein is, and don't know what sugar is. The things that make energy in your body knows what protons are, knows what electrons are, and knows what the wavelengths of light are. And that's how your body communicates all over. So it would make more sense to focus on light more than food. Food comes second, because you could eat all the I could give you the most perfect diet in the world based on who you are. But if your light conditions around you are not up to speed, then none of that good food matter at all. All right, so how many states of matter are there? Anybody know?
3. A lot.
What'd you say? 3?
A lot.
A lot. Anybody else? We got a 3. Any other numbers?
4 or 5.
4 or 5? Anybody? Okay, you said 3, which is pretty much the known number. Do you know what those 3 states are?
Liquid, solid, gas.
She said, what's your name?
Parker.
Parker? Parker said liquid, solid, and gas is the 3 states of matter. Liquid, like liquid water, right? Gas, like if somebody passed gas, you see what I'm saying, in the air, methane. And, and then you got solid, you know what I mean? Like that right there. Now, the problem is that there's actually 4 phases or 4 states of matter, and the 4th state of matter is called plasma. And you see plasma coming off the sun. You see lightning, that's plasma. When you see a flame dancing on the tip of a match, that's plasma too. What's the difference between these 3 states of matter? Well, when you're dealing with liquid, you know, you got molecules that are able to bond and break very easily. So they're able to kind of have this motion to themselves. Then you got gas, where the molecules are all over the place, running around like kids on recess at lunchtime, you know. That's what gas is. Solid is when all the molecules are together. They're moving very slightly, okay? And then you have a solid dynamic. Now, what is plasma? Plasma is when those atoms split and the parts that make up the atom, the proton, the electron, the neutron, are free and they're moving all on their own. Those are the different phases. Now, water follows those same phases. Now, we know solid water is ice, right? We know liquid water. We know vapor. But what is this easy guy right here? Who is he? You know what I'm saying? Well, he is the fourth phase of water. And that easy is very important to your health in response to light. Specifically because when the sun hits water, it creates EZ. Now, what does EZ stand for? EZ stands for exclusion zone. What does it mean to be excluded?
Not a part out.
Left out. Very good. Left out. So what is being excluded here? Well, we know water is made up of what? H2O, hydrogen, right? 2 hydrogens and an oxygen. And what ends up happening is when sunlight hits water, infrared light from the sun hits water, it creates an exclusion zone, which is a zone that excludes everything but electrons. So protons get excluded, impurities get excluded, anything else gets excluded. All right? So that means water stores energy. How many of y'all knew that water is a battery? Like the same battery you use to charge your phone, put in your remote, or whatever device you use, water is a battery. And when your phone, when you get that little red battery in the top corner, what do you need to do? Charge it, right? How do you charge water? How do you charge that battery? With the sun, just that simple. Sunlight hits water and it separates positive charges from negative charges. That's a battery. We getting somewhere, don't worry about it. Now, these layers that are made where you see the negative at right here, the negative part, these are hexagon, it's like a fence. You know chain link fences? You know all the movies you see where the police is chasing a guy and then they hit an alley and then they get stuck at the fence. They like, and they gotta climb over. You know, that's what the water molecules form into. They form into a fence, but it's specifically negatively charged. So then it pushes all the pluses out and now you have this dynamic of 2 charges, and that's an energy that can fuel something. So here's an example of a tube that they would do an experiment on. It's made out of something called naphthalene. And when they put the water inside and hit it with infrared light, what happened was the water right next to the edge of the tube, you see all those negative charges. And then in the center, you got all the positive charge right there. Well, you made up of nothing but tubes. They call veins, they call arteries, they call capillaries, they're called arterioles. So that means your blood follows this same pattern right here, where your blood, as it flows through these tubes, separates charge the same way because your blood has plasma that it sits in, and that plasma is 99% water. You're like 80% water. The earth is like 80% water. So there's a reason why there's so much water throughout the world. There's so much water inside your body. There's so much water inside your cells, is because you have something as simple as the sun that could provide energy to you. All right? Now, this is the mitochondria. And this is my advice to all of you. If there's anything that I would suggest that you study at this point in your life in regards to your body and your health, it is this guy right here. Most important thing to study is the mitochondria. And I'm going to explain why. The mitochondria is an organelle. Can anybody guess what an organelle is?
Like an organ in your cell?
Like an organ in your cell. Very good. It's organelle. Just like you would hear back in the day with like the golden oldies, you'll have like, the Davids and the Davels. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like a singer with a bunch of singers behind them. And the L always means what? Something is smaller than the main thing. So when you hear organelle, it's like little organ. Because your cells are nothing but little bodies. They're little versions of you. You're an amalgamation of like 100 trillion individual bodies holding hands, working together just to make sure you made the class on time today. That's what they living for, just to make sure you get there. Now, this is an organelle that's inside your cell, but what makes this organelle so dynamic and so different is the fact that it has its own genome. What is a genome? Somebody, anybody? What's a genome, y'all? Come on, somebody. Genome. Human genome. Huh? A cell. That's right. Just shout something out. Like, you're not going to get thrown to the pit of crocodiles. I promise. I don't got a bunch of lions in the back I'm going to throw you in. You're going to be all right.
Part of the DNA.
Part of DNA. Okay. Genome represents your genes, your DNA. Okay. Human genome. So your color of your hair, your eyes, you know, the way your nose grew in, the fact that, you know, you 8 feet tall or whatever, all these traits are inherited from your parents by way of genetics and DNA. All right. But what I'm trying to tell you is you got your genes that you got from your mama and your daddy, right? But then this guy right here got their own genes. Nothing else in your body other than the bacteria in your microbiome, which is another story, has its own genetics. And anything that has its own genetics means it's its own thing separate from you, which means we're carrying around a little alien inside our body. Okay? And they're in every cell. There's hundreds of them in all your cells, and you got trillions of cells. So you got a lot of mitochondria. The dynamic part about the mitochondria is the fact they pass down by way of the mother only. So everybody in this room's mitochondria came from their mama, not their daddy. Daddy only provides the genes from your regular cell, not from the mitochondria. Now, the mitochondria is very important because the mitochondria represents how you are not going to be locked into whatever errors or mistakes your mom, your grandmom, your dad, your granddad, your uncles, your aunts made. Because we got ancestors in our family that made a lot of decisions, and because of their bad dietary or geographical decisions, you were born with diabetes, or you were born with lupus. You know, or you were born with a cancer because they were smoking, or they started eating macaroni and cheese, and they never ate macaroni and cheese before in any of their generations, but because they moved to America and Kraft was only $3.99 and they ain't got no job, they gonna eat some Kraft macaroni and cheese. But you gotta suffer for it because their genes mutate, and when they have a baby, now you got mutated genes in you, they get expressed, now you got a problem. So, most of the time when people got problems, what do they say? Yeah, you know, it runs in my family. You know, my grandmother had diabetes, you know what I'm saying? I got diabetes now too, and now we own it. Like, you know, it's like part of the family. Yeah, you know, we the diabetes and all that, you know? But that's not true because of epigenetics. Okay, epi means above, like Epcot Center, you know, epi. And what epigenetics means is that your environment and your current decision determines how your DNA is expressed in the first place. So just because your great-grandmother wanted to eat Kraft macaroni and cheese and now you born with diabetes, you don't have to live with diabetes your whole life. You could change your environment and your lifestyle, and you will cut that so when you bear a child, that child doesn't have the diabetes no more. All right? And this is all due to the mitochondria. Because the mitochondria has its own DNA, only passed down by way of your mother to do what? Prevent mutations being passed down. So the only reason why your cell wants to express any DNA at all to create a disease or a problem is because the mitochondria is under attack, and because the mitochondria under attack, it's going to turn your cell on and tell it to start making stuff. And I always equate it to this, you know, when you live with a woman, you're a guy living with a woman, all right? And this could go for people that live in a household with their mother. That's a woman too, right? If mama is mad, or if your woman is through, that house is on fire. Am I lying? Are you about to ask to go out? Are you going to ask to borrow some money? Are you going to try to do anything when they pissed off? No, you ain't going to do nothing. It would behoove you to roll up to your girl or your mama and stroke them the right way to get them feeling better before you ask them for whatever you need. And it's the same thing with this mitochondria. Do not expect to heal nothing in your body if she mad. If she's upset, she pissed off, everything is afoot, all right? All right, so I spoke about the microbiome real quick, okay? You have 10 bacteria for every regular cell in your body. So if you got 75 trillion cells, multiply that by 10, that's how many bacteria you got. And these bacteria work with you, especially in your stomach. You got a whole, there's like 20, 30 Earth populations of bacteria just sitting in your gut, helping you digest food, helping you do a whole lot of things. And they got genes too. All right, so let me go back to this slide right here. How y'all doing? Y'all still with me, man? Am I boring y'all up in here? Y'all bored? Y'all bored? I'm just talking big words. It's the morning time, I get it. And this is just the first class too, so I understand. So back to the technology. Now, the sun has its own light, 5500 K, but when the sun rises, is it the same intensity as at 2 p.m.? No. Like when you get up and you see this, it's just, oh God, you know what I'm saying? No, it's cooling and it's nice and it's a certain color, right? And I said, whoa, 6900 and 7100. That means it's beyond that. Okay, I want y'all to just keep that in mind as we move through this, because y'all gonna be like, what's really going on? All right, so this is serotonin. Anybody ever heard of serotonin? Okay, so you got serotonin, that's the day hormone. The night hormone is melatonin, meaning as we walk through the day, we're up. Eyes are open, you know what I'm saying? We talking to people, you gotta go to work, you gotta cook something, you gotta be alert. When you cross the street, you gotta look both ways. Like, you have to be alert and aware. And in order for you to be alert and aware and moving around and upbeat, you need this particular molecule flowing through your body, which is serotonin. All right? Now, the other molecule is called, I got them all the way back here. How did I do that? Uh-oh. My bad, my bad. Get it back together. The other molecule is called melatonin, and melatonin is the night hormone. So you know when you home, you done had a long day, sitting on the couch, all of a sudden that feeling, you done ate that dinner, you start getting that feeling, you like, man, I don't think I'm about to go out, I'm about to do that, man. And you know, your lids start getting heavy, that's increased melatonin. And that corresponds with the drop of light. As it gets more dark, the melatonin increases and you get more in the mood to sleep. So, let me ask you a question. If I take melatonin away from you, what do you think is going to happen? Insomnia. She just said it. That's what I like. Simple and plain. She in insomnia. She didn't say I ain't going to be able to sleep, because that's something you could get. Insomnia is a problem. She like insomnia. It's a problem if that melatonin taken away. Exactly. All right, so melatonin is used in order for you to go to sleep. Now, what if I told you that melatonin is very sensitive to certain frequencies of light, particularly blue light? When melatonin is introduced to blue light, what ends up happening is it destroys its production. So like she said, blue light, no melatonin, insomnia. You ain't sleeping. And why is sleeping important? Because when you sleep, you regenerate. When you sleep, you time travel. Did y'all know y'all time travel when you go to bed? What you say? What you say? What you say? Come on, say it, man. What y'all say, man? I'm like, I want to laugh too. Nah. But no. Melatonin, sleeping is time traveling, and how sleeping is time traveling is the fact that what happens to us as we move forward in time to our bodies? What happens to our bodies? We age, right? So anytime we deal with anything that reverses the aging process, that's going back in time. Because what do women usually say when they're like in their 50s? They see that picture when they was in college, they be like, man, I wish I could. I wish, what'd you say?
Beauty rest.
Yeah, I need to get my beauty rest, my beauty sleep. They look at that picture, they like, man, I want to go back to when I was in college. That's going back in time. But when you go to sleep, your body starts and activates a regeneration protocol that heals everything in your body and makes you young again. You ever notice how you look when you tired at night? You look in the mirror, you're bloodshot, you got bags, your face look all crazy. You like, man, I'm tired. You get up in the morning, bruh, and you ready to go to school, you like, damn, I'm looking good up in here. Clean, fresh, supple, all of that. Time travel. Yeah, I did say supple, didn't I? Supple cheeks. But this is a diagram to explain to you the processes that are supposed to occur in the morning. All right, let me go to this slide here. Okay, so at 4 in the morning, which is around the time that roosters using Pinopsin, Pinopsin, this is how they recognize the sun's coming up. You ever want to know how roosters know? Like they start cock-a-doodling doing when it's still dark. It's still dark outside. Live on an island like me, you hear them all the time. You know what I'm saying? And shoot, here in Texas, I know some people got some chickens around here, man. But they know when the sun's coming because they have a receptor that picks up certain changes. And based on that clock that's ticking inside their body, they know when to let that cry out, and then we know the sun's coming. So around 4 o'clock, around that same time when them roosters start up, cortisol in our body is secreted. And what cortisol does is it unzips our collagen. Collagen is our connective tissue, makes up our cartilage, makes up a whole lot of stuff inside our body. And collagen has a very interesting geometry. It has 3 helical strands. Women know all about 3 strands. What do y'all do with 3 strands?
Braids.
Braid. That's what collagen is. It's just braids. All right, braids of amino acids. All right. Now, if you look over here, though, you see these little blue balls in between. That's water. That represents water. So water is in between the strands. And at night, we're condensed. Because when you wake up, what is the first things you do when you wake up to get out the bed? You open up, because when you sleep, you're condensed. And you're condensed so you can heal, so you can regenerate. But at 4 a.m. when cortisol is produced, the collagen is unzipped and water's released. What's one of the #1 things people do to wake somebody up out of nowhere? Where do you think you get it from? Your body does that to you. It splashes water on your face every single morning. And then you get up and then you start stretching and everything like that. All right, this is another picture of all the water. These are collagen, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, making like this, and it's from an aerial view looking down, and this is all the water right here. So the water opens you up. All right, so let's go back to this little diagram. How I'm looking on time right now. Okay. All right, so You are a clock, all right? Your body is a clock, your eye is a clock. We know the eyeball is being a camera. It sees stuff and takes pictures and everything. But our eyeball is actually a clock as well, and we can tell time. How many people has said, yo, I gotta get up at 6. You don't program your phone, you just go to sleep and you get up at 5:45. Anybody? Okay, some people, because your body's used to it. So this is what I'm saying. And we do magical superhero stuff all the time and just sleep on ourselves. How you gonna go to bed at 1 in the morning, tell your body, I'm getting up at 6, and you get up at 6? How your body know that? How we know it's 6 o'clock? Which your body got up when you was still in the bed and looked at the microwave and was like, okay, hey man, get up now. That ain't how it's happening. Obviously, intrinsically, you got something set up where the external environment is able to tell you what's going on, all right? So inside our eye, all right, we have a clock, and these are some breakdowns of the clock, the different clocks. So we got a master clock. In response to the daily cycle of light and darkness, the SCN, which is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, serves as the body's timekeeper, all right? Cardiovascular clock, to give the heart a rest. Blood pressure decreases at night, okay? Most heart attacks occur in the morning, likely because of rapid increase in blood pressure. Metabolic clock, body temperature, anabolic and catabolic, how well you build stuff in your body, how well you break it down. Your reproductive clock, okay? Menstrual cycles, and the daily testosterone cycle of a male. Yes, men got their cycle too. Women got a 30-day and men got a everyday. That's why men think the way they think, but that's a whole nother conversation. Endocrine clock, all right, for all your hormones. Immune clock for your immune system. You got a muscle clock, you got a renal clock, but all these clocks are connected to the main clock. And the main clock is the SCN right here. All right, so when light enters your eye, your pupil, everybody got a black pupil. You got different color irises, like people say blue eyes, oh, they got green eyes and brown eyes, da, 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 da. Those are irises. There's only one color to your pupil, and that's black. And the reason why it's black is because of something called a perfect black box radiator, which means that it's able to absorb all light into it. And the light gets focused through your pupil, through the pupil into the retina, and then it goes to the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Then it goes to the PVN, which is this paraventricular nucleus, and then it goes down into the brainstem, and the paraventricular nucleus connects to the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is a bunch of nerves that deal with your digestion and all the organs that go on in here, because you have to connect the upper body with the lower body, okay? There's two different things going on. So when you get up in the morning, the light that exists in the morning time enters into your eye, and it tells this SCN, yo, it's the morning time. You know why it's the morning time? Because I see blue. Because you're not gonna see blue at nighttime. What is the most bluest stuff in nature? What are the two biggest bluest things in nature? Sky and the water. And at nighttime, there is no sky. Just goes somewhere. Where it go? I don't know. It just disappears, right? Because it's just clouds and stars. Like, I don't see no blue, hazy, nothing, right? And then the ocean or the rivers or the ponds, what do they turn? They turn black. They turn gray. They turn murky, but they're not blue. So when your eyes see blue light, that's telling your body, oh, it's daytime. It's daytime. So what happens when you look at a phone at 2 a.m. in the morning then? It's telling your body it's daytime. Yeah, you woke. Yeah, stay woke. And you see, that's the new slogan, right? Your body do stay woke at nighttime. But that even though that's just such a small thing we're saying right now, is huge ramifications in your body because of that. All right, so let's go to some eyes. All right, so All right, so this is iris, pupil, right? Lens, cornea. Light comes in, hits the retina, which is at the back of the eye. This is the back of the eye blown up. These are the cells of the retina. Ganglion cells, right? These are the bipolar cells right here, and these are the rods and the cones. Rods represent black and white, cones represent color. If you want to change your printer out, how do you change your printer out? Anybody? Take out the ink. What is the two inks that you got to use for your printer? Ordinate, black, and then what's the colors? CMYK, right? You gotta, like, it's not just a color cartridge you just stick in the printer. No, you gotta stick in like 4, and they represent CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and I don't know what the K stands for, but it's different colors. And all those colors, them few colors represent more colors, because you could take the primary colors, and however you mix the primary colors, you make secondary colors and all the other hues of the rainbow. The retina and the cones is the same way, because with the cones is what you see color, and you only got blue, red, and green cones. And that, along with the black and gray that comes from the rods, gives you the perception that you have. This is how you can tell red from green, how you can tell that that chair is all the way over there and this podium is closer to me because of depth perception. This is what the cones do. Now, right around here, these ganglia right here produces a protein called melanopsin. Melanopsin, all right? And melanopsin is a sensor that picks up blue light. So if I oversaturate my melanopsin with blue light, then what does it do? It's going to destroy my ability to utilize all the different colors for healing and for health. And instead, it's going to create inflammation and a whole host of other problems inside of the body, because our body is very blue light sensitive. So y'all tell me why Google got a patent on blue light technology for getting all of us to be addicted to it. Like, there's a patent, and y'all could Google it. Y'all could Google it and look it up. Why would Google have a patent for the frequency of blue light to use from their domain, their browser, whatever it's called, for us to look at all day long? Because they know the effects that the blue light is going to have on our brains, on our body, on our metabolism, on our genetics, on our genes. Okay? Look that up. All right, so this is another blow up of the eye retina right here. These are the ganglion where the melanopsin's made. These are the rods and cones, all right? And right behind the rods and cones, you have the RPE, which is called the retinal pigmented epithelial. These are similar to chloroplasts in a leaf. When a leaf is hit with sunlight, the chloroplasts in the leaf start moving in circles. They gyrate and produce electricity and energy. Pretty much what we have the ability to do with our body is take photons from the sun and convert that sunlight into DC electric current. So imagine if you could take the sun and just plug things into the sun and use them. That's how our body is. Do you know how you plug into the sun? You go outside, but specifically, what do you do outside? Sun gaze, but what's important when you sun gaze so you can properly get that energy in? You take your shoes off and you stand. He stood up like he got posture. He was like, wait a minute now. What's with these these shoes coming off, man? I didn't know it was that type of party. When you take your shoes off, you got your bare feet. You ever wonder why your hands is like, I'm black, obviously, but look at my hands, though. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with my feet on the bottom. They're lighter. We're all like that. It don't matter what color your skin is. We all got this going on. And this is because we're supposed to be able to absorb certain frequencies of light with this being like this. And then the sweat glands allow electrons to enter into our body. So when we walk around on grass, and the earth. Like everything I'm gonna talk about today, y'all gonna be like, so you telling me the highest technology for my health is stuff that I can just go outside and do with no money? Yes, that's exactly what I'm here to tell y'all about. That we are too complex and we have too much money invested in our destruction and our death when the only thing we gotta do is go outside. And I'll show you how. When I was a kid, you couldn't offer me $1 million check to make me go inside. You could not pay me enough money to go inside. I wouldn't want it. Everybody wanted to be outside when I was a child. Whether you was riding a bike, you was on a skateboard, you know, you were playing with the fire hydrant. That's something we used to do. We turned the fire hydrant on, it would shoot water at like 100 miles per hour. If you stand in front of it, you get kicked across the street. So the big swole guy on the block, the diesel cat, he would take a big giant can of pork and beans and dump the beans out and open both sides. So it's just a cylinder. And he would come in front of that water and put that can on it and would direct the water from going straight to shooting up. So we would have a sprinkler all in the street. We would just run around. And I knew that dude was swole because he would stay there for about an hour. I'm like, bruh, how you holding that can there? Why are we playing? Like, you ain't gonna take a break or nothing? Like, wiggle them arms out, man. But we used to be outside. People would play soccer, football, basketball. You think about, you know, Rucker Park in New York. The cats, you know, they're in their basketball shorts, but their shirts off, they sweating. You know what I'm saying? People would be in the sun. We're not in the sun no more. 95% of our time is spent indoors, underneath lights that emit predominantly blue light, in front of screens that emit predominantly blue light, looking at our phones over 300 times a day, at Instagram and Snapchat, getting hit with blue light. It's killing us. It's killing us. And more importantly, it's murdering our mitochondria to the point that the mitochondria can't work as efficiently as it needs to. And I'm going to show you how. Y'all still with me? All right, so yeah, that's melanopsin, okay? Found intrinsically in the photoreceptive retinal ganglion cells. That's the IPRGCs. The IP stands for intrinsically photosensitive. What are they saying? They're saying that our eyes are known for being a camera to see stuff. But this particular protein has an intrinsic ability, meaning inside our body. Light plays a role within us, not just to see what's going on outside, all right? And it absorbs blue and violet light, all right? So, light. Classical is photoreceptors rise in cones. Classic, retinal ganglion cells, image forming visual functions, right? But then over here it says melanopsin containing IPRGCs, look, non-image forming visual functions, circadian, all right, pupil light reflex, sleep, and mood regulation. And sleep is important, bro, because if I keep any one of y'all up for 2-3 days, who has ever been up for 2-3 days before? Not, yeah, y'all in college, all of y'all, right? But how do you feel? How do you feel when you've been up for 3 days? Like, do you have the patience for somebody coming to you with some petty stuff? Do you have the patience for them? You probably gonna shut them down in a minute. You're gonna chew somebody out. You can't drive no car. You know what I'm saying? It's a wrap. You straight off the, and here in Texas with all of these connectors, bro, you right off. You done. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta get your sleep. Oh yeah, that's the blood. We're gonna get to the blood. I wanna show y'all mitochondria. All right, so mitochondria, okay, has two membranes. We know our cells to have a membrane. Well, the mitochondria got two. Got an inner membrane and an outer membrane. And when we go inside the inner membrane, we have a complex called the electron transport chain. So just to give y'all a quick time, 10 minutes? Okay. So just to give y'all a quick rundown on the mitochondria and energy. When we eat, food got to go through a whole lot of stuff before we get anything out of it. And usually when I start my lectures off, I always ask people, why do we eat? And everybody says, energy, nah, 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 nah. And I tell them, it's to extract and to assimilate the energy of the sun, which means what? Food comes second to sunlight, all right? So when you eat food, let's say a carbohydrate, something that contains sugar, you know, the simplest form of that sugar is going to be glucose. Glucose got to go through 10 steps just to turn into 3 carbon molecules to enter into another cycle. 10 steps, that's a lot of work. Then after it goes through the 10 steps, they got to go through another 10 steps in the citric acid cycle, where pyruvate becomes acetyl coenzyme A. Acetyl coenzyme A combines with oxaloacetate. Oxaloacetate and coenzyme A make citrate. Citrates get changed to isocitrate. Isocitrate becomes alpha-ketoglutarate. Alpha-ketoglutarate becomes succinyl coenzyme A. Succinyl coenzyme A becomes succinate. Succinate becomes malate. Malate becomes oxaloacetate. Another coenzyme A comes in, and it keeps going round and round and round. All that to do what? To liberate protons. No, clap for yourself. You doing this while you listening to me talk right now. That's how beautiful you are. It happens. Your cells do 100,000 chemical reactions per second. Per second. A second? I can't think of doing 10 things in a second, let alone 100,000. So after the citric acid cycle, all them steps I just told you, then that gets fed into the electron transport chain, which you see right behind me, and that's the process where you actually make your energy and your ATP. All right? So these particular structures right here, complex 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, is what's responsible for making your energy. Electrons are pumped through these things right here, and in electrons being pumped through here, that's like plugging something up, and energy's being built up. Once these mechanisms are turned on, they start pumping hydrogen through them. Pumping hydrogen through them. And the reason why they pumping hydrogen through them is to create the same thing that happens with the water, where there's more of one charge in one area and less of that charge in the other area. The hydrogens that are pumped over and over and over again that saturate this area right here only have one way to get back in this space, and that's through this mechanism. And when the hydrogens go through this mechanism and cause it to spin, it makes ATP. Now, I'm telling you all of this to let you know that when you deal with blue light and when you're saturating yourself with what is called non-native EMF, EMF is electric magnetic frequency. Non-native means it's not from the sun, it's not a natural light, it's not fire. What ends up happening is these particular proteins spread out. They swell and they spread. All right? And anybody that knows anything about electricity, the more that you widen things apart, the more the power goes down, it drops. So electrons can no longer be transferred through these things efficiently because they're spreading out and getting a bigger and bigger spaces through here. And what that's called, it's called percent heteroplasmy. heteroplasmy. Percent heteroplasmy. HETERO heteroplasmy. PLASMY. All right, plasmy. And that the percent heteroplasmy, as it increases, the space between these proteins increase. As heteroplasmy percent drops, they come closer together. So you want your proteins to shrink and get close together, and that makes them more efficient, and you got more energy and more light. But what Facebook, Instagram, all these phones, tablets, and 5G, which is a whole nother beast, all right? What they're gonna do is they're going to swell your mitochondria up, they're gonna spread them out, and you can't make energy no more. If you can't make ATP, then you're dead. You're dead. You've heard of cyanide poisoning before? People who got cyanide poisoning die. They die because cyanide inhibits this complex 4. And because this complex gets inhibited, electrons can't pass through, ATP synthase is not going to work, and because of that, you die. You die slowly. A lot of people walk around dead, don't even know it yet. That's a whole nother thing. Just because you're 25 years old externally, your biological age, meaning after they do, you know, they go inside of you and start like looking at the things that's going on in you, yeah, you 75.
So they want to kill us.
They want to make you susceptible to suggestion, like a lemming. Anybody know what lemmings are? Lemmings are these little mammals that don't think for themselves. There used to be a game on Genesis called Lemmings. Y'all can look it up on YouTube. And they walk, right? They be walking, and if there's a cliff, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna jump off that cliff. And guess what all the other lemmings are gonna do? They're gonna jump off the cliff too. Because the one in front of me jumped, so I gotta jump. Duh. You know what I'm saying? That's what lemmings are. Look it up. And that's what the blue light and the 5G and all that's to do, is to make everybody more suggestible, make everybody a little bit more soft, so you don't stand up for yourself, so you don't have no conviction. And it's tearing up your immune system and your genes. So you might be straight, but your baby not, and your baby definitely not, you know? And your baby, we ain't gonna talk about him, he probably didn't even make it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. So this is a diagram of that ATP synthase. If you notice these red dots, they represent hydrogens. So there's only a few hydrogens here, but you see a whole lot here. So the difference between a lot of hydrogens and a little hydrogens is called an electrochemical gradient. And these ATP synthase are the only mechanisms that can allow the high concentration of these into this space, and that generates energy and charge. The ATP synthase is a turbine. We talking about that thing underneath plane wings that make it fly. You got trillions of them inside your body. So to make a long story short, our potential is so beyond that we are not living up to our high standards. We could do so much more with ourselves. So if you were growing a garden, would it make any sense to take a huge tarp and cover it over your garden? What is that going to do?
It's going to cut off its main source of energy.
A main source of energy, and it's not going to grow. It's going to wilt and die, right? So we need to get butt naked. Everybody, take their clothes off. Not right here, but no, for real though. Because we were born butt naked. Our skin is a solar panel. And clothing inhibits frequencies from the sun from penetrating our skin and giving us the light and the energy that we need. So that's why when you go to Ipanema and you go to Miami, people ain't wearing jack. No, why would they? They're eating the sun. They don't need to. You know, Texas got a decent temperature. So what I would suggest is that a lot of y'all get into a situation where you can expose more of your skin more often. Take your shirt off, take your pants off, take your socks off, walk around in the park. If you got a backyard, who knows you butt naked back there? You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Who knows? I got 2 questions for the women. When was the last time y'all breast was in the sunlight? Time with like 3 minutes or something? Yeah.
You mean like bare?
Yeah, breasts in the sun. That's what I'm saying. She was like, bare? She thinks breast is in a bra under a shirt. That ain't breast. That's a brassiere. Nobody? Huh?
Why you looking at?
You said June? You said in June? You said in June you do?
June. The last time.
Oh, the last time you did was June for you. Okay, so we got 1 June in here. Anybody else? We got more women than this. How about you brothers up in here? When was the last time?
Bro, they can easily do that.
I'm saying, but watch the hands. When was the last time y'all testicles was in the sun? Oh my God, he said testicles. How you think you got here? You used to be sitting up in that thing like, man, any day now. Anybody? That's what I'm saying. Y'all testicles need to be in the sun. Just go outside in the courtyard. Nah, I'm just playing. But no, that's a problem. Our bodies was designed to be in the sun and be outside. I ain't never seen a horse fall out the back of a horse. You know how they give birth, they just drop? And he had on like jeans and a fresh new Supreme on? No. They butt naked. You know what I'm saying? So y'all need to get more exposure. And to be more specific, between the sunrise and then that first hour of sunrise is the most important part of the day. It's similar, I always compare it to Trading Places. Trading Places is a movie with Eddie Murphy where they manipulated the stock market to get paid. And how they did this is this Clarence Beeks guy was able to get the report for the oranges and give it to the rich cat so they could see whether or not the frost destroyed the crop. Because if the frost destroys the crop, then you know how to bid in the stock market because there's not going to be no oranges. So when you get up in the morning and get that first sunlight, it's like you're getting a crop report for the day, for your whole body. And if you don't get that light, you're catching up all day long because you're behind the 8 ball. You know what I'm saying? You might need this more than me, man. I ain't even open it. You sure? You can. Okay. I was about to say you can have that. So you want to get up and you want to catch that sunrise. You want to catch that first hour, and you want to catch that last hour as well. And that's going to do so much for your day. If you barefoot, great. Sun gazing, you don't have to stare directly at the sun. You can stare to the side, because in the morning it's not the same as 3 o'clock. You stare to the side, stare underneath it. It's going to give you energy. It's going to build you up. All right. And then here in Texas is a beautiful thing. We're in a state that gets vitamin D all year. When you go above the 50-degree latitude, like if you're in New York and stuff, you have vitamin D winters where you can't synthesize vitamin D from your skin in the winter and the springtime. You have to wait till the summer. But here it's all year. Right now it's like between 10:18 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If you go outside and expose your skin, you're going to make vitamin D, which is of utmost importance for your health. You know, it's the solar molecule. It deals with pulling calcium inside your body and using calcium for different reasons. So
Let's open up
for question Q&A. All right, so that's pretty much it. We're going to open up for the Q&A. Any questions at all?
You break down that ATP. A lot of people I've been talking about this for years.
They don't know what ATP. Yeah.
I don't know how to break down scientifically.
No, I'll tell them exactly what it is.
And now you're the first person I heard that really. I just got on computers 2 songs ago. I've been telling people these things are way more dangerous than you think. But they were thinking that Milan, he's just an underlying guy.
They're gonna find out when 5G hits and people start eating each other's faces in the street. They're gonna be like, I'm about to move. You know what I'm saying? You was about to ask a question though. Oh, you was asking. I'm sorry.
The diagram that you just had up there, I was going to ask where it had the matrix and everything and the pH. That one, what exactly is that?
Okay, so that's the mitochondria. That blue part is the outer membrane. The golden part is the inner membrane. All right. So right here, this is that inner membrane, and those are the complexes in it. Once again, that's the inner membrane, that long strip, and those are the complexes embedded. So this is also, see how it says inner membrane, and the complex is on it. So this part right here where you see all the concentration of those red circles, that's the intermembrane space in between that first membrane and the second membrane. It's a small little space. That's where that is. And then the white part here with the little circles, but it's not as many as here, that's the matrix. That's the center of the mitochondria. Okay. All right, good question. Anybody else? Yes.
Just what is ATP?
ATP is the currency of our body that we use for energy. In order for me to jump, I got to use my muscles. In order for you to use my muscles, my nerves have to communicate to my muscles. And in order to do that, ATP has to be released so the contraction of my muscle can occur. So it's a current, it's a unit of energy that our body makes. And the ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. All right. It serves some other functions too, but I ain't going to get into all of that. Yes?
So you were talking about internal clocks we have. My mom says it has a lot. And like, she's always talking about our internal clocks. And does the melatonin have something to do with when we're supposed to eat at night?
Yes, very good question. Very good. Does melatonin have anything to do with us eating at night? Yes, because we're not supposed to eat at night.
What did I smell?
Oh, we all, come on, we all do. We eat 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Look, the sun shows us when we're supposed to eat, when it's up. That's when you eat. You don't eat when the sun's down, because the sun enables us to be able to digest the food and extract the energy out of it. So when we get past a certain time, like 8 o'clock in the evening, and melatonin starts increasing, you don't want to be using all, you know how much energy you use to digest food? That's like all your energy. You don't want to do that, because now if I'm using all my energy to digest food and you sleep, I can't use that energy to turn back time for beauty rest. So you get up looking like grandma. Like, man, I did not regenerate last night. Yes.
8 of the afternoon would be the time we stop using our cell phones or any.
Well, good question. Of course, I got to give y'all, what do y'all do in regards to the cell phones? There's different things you can do. There's filters that are sold that can filter out the blue light. You have a program on the internet called Iris for your computers that can actually change and stop the blue light emissions that come out of the computer. It's going to be like a red screen or orange screen. They sell glasses, whether prescription or not, that you, like in this class right now, you'd have on a pair of shades with orange tint, and that would help to filter the non-native EMF and anything else from your screens. There's so many different things. I'm just giving y'all key terms because y'all got phones. Y'all could Google and y'all will find out in a heartbeat all the different remedies and hacks that you can do to alleviate, you know, this bombardment of these frequencies that's killing you and you can't even see it.
Last question.
Last question.
So like with that, like you said, because like iPhone actually has the ability you can turn your phone to night shift, so it turns like to more warmer colors.
Right.
Or, like they help you get better sleep.
That's a start. That's a start. But a filter, and I'm going to leave y'all with one last term that y'all need to look into, and that is Faraday, Faraday, cage, CAGE, which is a structure that is able to prevent influence of electromagnetic devices. All right, so you can get a Faraday bag. It's just look that term up. Look up blue blockers. Look up Iris. Look up filters, things like that, and y'all start seeing how you can start taking your light back and find out how your health will increase the minute that you start doing it.
Okay.
Yes.
What we're gonna do, first off, let's thank KT. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go right into the Kahoot game, so pull out your phones and let's get started. That's good, brother. That's good.
That was good?
Oh yeah.
I figure, you know, I need to give them something they need. They need that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Impossible Burger's okay. Like, you know, you might have some bubble guts or something like that 1 or 2 times. You eat that, you know. But this, yeah.
They can put it together.
Oh, you about to play? You cheating. It's not really going to be in tune with the lecture like that because he didn't have a chance to put it together. You know all these answers.
Okay, is that everybody? Are we waiting on anybody? Okay. Okay, is that everybody? All right, let's get started. All right, first question. KT was born in the Virgin Islands of... out where KT was born? It's in St. Croix, the Virgin Islands, and he even explained it himself after I talked about it. So let's look at who the first leader is. Desiree. Okay? So everything now counts. Okay? Everything now counts. All right. KT's mother, Annette Thomas, and Dr. Sabi established. I said this at the beginning of class.
Hurry up. I'm so dedicated.
It's a wrap, bro. Just go. Just go. It was nice. It was nice while it lasted. You know what I'm saying?
Volusia Herbal Research Institute is where KT's mom, Annette Thomas, and Dr. Sabi established.
It said herbal.
St. Croix.
Thank you.
Says what?
It said herbal, like they should have got that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Chelsea.
That did give it away.
Chelsea's in the lead. Okay, next question. We're running out of time. What is protein? Talk a little bit about protein. What is protein?
Eggs.
Got that right. All right. Proteins, chains of amino acids. Okay. All right. Alfredo in the lead, followed by Chessie. Okay. Next.
That's Sabi's name, you know. Huh? You know that's Sabi's real name.
What?
Alfredo.
Oh, Alfredo Bowman. Yeah.
I didn't get to talk about DHA. It was in there. It was in there, but I didn't get to. So, it doesn't matter what you chose on this one because they were all right. It's a trick question, right? So fatty acids are saturated, monosaturated, omega-3 and omega-6 are all fatty acids. Those are all categories.
Categories of fatty acids, so any one was correct. Okay? All right, so that was a giveaway. All right, last two questions. Light reacts to the black box radiator, which responds to the biological clock, which is the what? Said this in class.
Oh my God, I'm an idiot. Bro, I'm on the board. Bro, I'm not on the board no more. You what? Oh, I'm still in the
Okay. Okay, we got the last question. We're almost out of time for this class, so this is the last question here. Okay, Joanna in the lead. Joanna. All right, this is for the cash prize and for one of the highest sources of omega-3 given by KT is one of his products with botanical green life.
Green Light Botanicals.
Green Life Botanicals. This is one of his products. One of the highest sources of omega-3 perilla oil, right? With $20. Okay? Mitochondria is passed down from.
From your Uncle Bobby. I got mine from Uncle Bobby.
Okay. Okay, the winner is Joanna.
Joanna! Who's Joanna? Where's Joanna? Hey!
Stop, bro.
When I got it.
Come down here.
Oh. Joanna, you got it right. That's what I'm talking about. There you go. And your money. There you go.